Only in Kentucky can a single county claim the very first commercial vineyard in the United States, and a massive Civil War stronghold that served as the cradle of freedom for 10,000 enslaved men. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky, one county at a time, all 120 of them. And today, I'm learning about Jessamine County. If you haven't done so already, I do hope that you check out the other counties I've covered. They're all listed in the playlist on my profile. If I haven't covered yours yet, I'll get to it soon, I promise. As always, if I miss something, feel free to correct me in the comments so we can all learn together. Located entirely within the inner bluegrass region, the county covers 175 square miles of land that is fundamentally shaped by the water running over and through it. The entire southern border is formed by the Kentucky River. Because of the intense meandering of the river, Jessamine County actually boasts roughly 42 miles of riverbank. But this is not a gentle, sloping shoreline. This border is defined by the Kentucky River Palisades. These are near vertical limestone cliffs that plunge 400 to 500 feet down to the water. Long before European settlers arrived, this area was a vital hunting ground and travel corridor to Native American nations, particularly the Shawnee from the north and the Cherokee from the south. The dense forests and winding creeks were crisscrossed with ancient game trails. But the first permanent European settlement in what is now Jessamine County was established by Nicholas Leach in 1779. Following the American Revolutionary War, a steady stream of pioneers began pouring over the mountains from Virginia to claim land grants. In December 1798, the Kentucky legislature officially carved Jessamine out of Fayette County, making it the 36th county formed in the Commonwealth. The name of the county itself is shrouded in a little bit of frontier folklore. Legend says the county was named for Jessamine Douglas, the beautiful daughter of an early pioneer. The story claims she was either tragically killed by a Native American war party while resting by the stream, or she took her own life after being unlucky in love, although modern historians generally dismiss the romantic tragedy, pointing out that the name likely just comes from Jessamine Creek. That same year in 1798, the county seat of Nicholasville was founded by Reverend John Metcalf. He plotted the town and named it in honor of Colonel George Nicholas, who is widely considered the father of the 1792 Kentucky Constitution. From its earliest days, this was a county of remarkable firsts and accolades. In the late 18th century, the Kentucky General Assembly actually passed a bill to establish a commercial vineyard and winery right here in Jessamine County. Known simply as First Vineyard, it holds the prestigious title of being the very first commercial wine operation in the United States. The county also boasts an incredible educational milestone. In 1790, a man named Francis Asbury founded Bethel Academy on the cliffs overlooking the Kentucky River. This was the very first Methodist school established in the United States west of the Appalachian Mountains, and only the second in the entire nation. As the county grew through the 19th centuries, smaller communities developed their own unique identities. The town of Keene was originally laid out as North Liberty in 1813, but in 1830, the local postmaster named Ephraim Carter decided to rename the town Keene after his hometown of Keene, New Hampshire. Some in the area also called it Hardscrabble, apparently. Keene became a surprisingly important refuge during one of the darkest periods in regional history. In 1841, a massive Greek revival building called the Keene Springs Hotel was constructed by Mason Singleton Jr. When devastating epidemics swept through the nearby city of Lexington in the late 1840s and early 1850s, desperate residents fled the city and flocked to the Keene Springs Hotel. But the most monumental chapter in Jessamine County history belongs to the Civil War. In 1863, the Union Army established a massive 4,000-acre installation called Camp Nelson. It was named for Major General William Bull Nelson. Camp Nelson was chosen for its highly defensible geography. Protected on three sides by the sheer cliffs of the Palisades and the deep gorge of Hickman Creek, it only required fortifications on its northern boundary. It was originally built as a supply depot to funnel troops and materials toward campaigns in Tennessee. However, Camp Nelson quickly evolved into something far more significant. When President Lincoln authorized the enlistment of African American men into the Union Army, Kentucky was placed in a strange legal position. Kentucky was a slaveholding state, but it had not seceded from the Union. Because it was not in rebellion, the Emancipation Proclamation did not legally apply here, but the military desperately needed extra manpower. So in exchange for military service, enslaved men in Kentucky were offered their freedom. Camp Nelson became the largest recruitment and training center for African American soldiers in the state. This made Kentucky the second largest contributor of black soldiers in the entire nation, with Jessamine County serving as the primary gateway to freedom. But the story of Camp Nelson also holds a deep, devastating tragedy. When these enslaved men fled to the camp to enlist, their wives and children often followed them, seeking refuge and freedom of their own. And because the law only emancipated the soldiers, the Union Army had no official policy for dealing with these refugee families. Thousands of women and children built a makeshift shanty village within the camp boundaries. Local pro-slavery politicians and slave owners put immense pressure on the military to expel the refugees. And in November 1864, the district commander, Speed S. Fry, gave a cruel and fatal order. He commanded his troops to force 400 women and children out of the camp at gunpoint. The soldiers torched the refugee huts and loaded the families onto wagons, abandoning them outside the lines. Because this was in a cold part of the year, temps were well below freezing. Without shelter or food, 102 women and children died from exposure and disease. As you can imagine, this horrific event sparked a massive national outcry. Reverend John Greg Fee and Chief Quartermaster Theron Hall sent furious reports to northern newspapers and Washington officials. The public response was swift. The military immediately reversed its policy, ordered the construction of a permanent home for colored refugees, and built cottages, a school, and hospital. This tragedy directly spurred Congress to pass a law in March of 1865 that officially freed the wives and children of the United States colored troops. Today, that ground is preserved as the Camp Nelson National Monument. You can still see the reconstructed fortifications and the Oliver Perry House, a structure built in 1846 that served as the officers' quarters. Just down the road sits the Camp Nelson National Cemetery, where thousands of Union soldiers, including over 800 African-American troops, are laid to rest. Following the Civil War, the county continued to build its infrastructure and its communities. In 1876, the county completed another breathtaking engineering marvel. The High Bridge was constructed over the Kentucky River Gorge. At the time of its completion, it was the very first cantilever railroad bridge built in the United States and the highest bridge over a navigable river in North America. Meanwhile, the town of Wilmore was experiencing its own renaissance. Originally just a flag stop in the Southern Railway known as Scott's Station, the town was eventually named after local landowner John R. Wilmore. In 1890, a man named John Wesley Hughes chose Wilmore as the site to found Kentucky Holiness College. The following year, it was renamed Asbury College in honor of Francis Asbury, the pioneer who had founded the Old Bethel Academy a century earlier. Hughes poured his life into the school, but in a bitter twist of academic politics, he was pushed out of his role as president in 1905. Despite the breakup, Hughes still loved the institution so much that he returned in 1928 to personally break ground for Hughes Auditorium. Today, Asbury University and the accompanying Asbury Theological Seminary remain the cultural and economic beating heart of Wilmore, drawing students from around the globe to this quiet Kentucky town. The architecture scattered around Jessamine County tells the story of its agricultural wealth and early institutions. Near Logana, you can find the John Hunter House. Built in 1792 with classic federal-style architecture, this grand brick home was actually repurposed in the late 1800s and early 1900s as the Old County Poor Farm. Near Keene, the Ebenezer Presbyterian Church stands as a gorgeous 1803 stone building that replaced an earlier pioneer log structure. And off Lexington Road, the Young House, built around 1814, showcases beautiful features with 18-inch thick brick walls. In the 20th and 21st centuries, the economy of this county shifted significantly. While it remains deeply rooted in agriculture, the county has become a global destination for the equine industry. It's home to some of the most prestigious thoroughbred operations on the planet, including Taylor Made Farm and Ramsey Farm. The county also boasts major modern business success stories. It's the headquarters of the R.J. Corman Railroad Group, a massive railroad service and construction company founded by local entrepreneur Richard Corman. Jessamine also has produced some serious talent in the entertainment world. Country music star John Michael Montgomery grew up in the Nicholasville area. The county is also home to Lee Thomas Miller, an incredibly successful country music songwriter who has penned hits for artists like Brad Paisley and Trace Adkins. Demographically, the county has transformed into a quiet farming community into one of the fastest growing areas in Kentucky. For the first half of the 20th century, the population held steady at around 20,000 people. But as the nearby city of Lexington expanded, the county became a highly desirable commuter hub. And by 1980, the population had doubled to over 26,000 people, and as of the 2020 census, the county reached a population of just nearly 53,000 people. In recent years, local voters even shifted the cultural landscape regarding alcohol. For decades after the end of Prohibition, the county remained heavily dry, with only the city of Nicholasville allowing limited sales. But in 2020, the county residents voted by a wide margin to reverse that policy, allowing alcohol sales and opening the door for local businesses like Chrisman Mill Vineyards to expand their operations right in the heart of the county. So, that's Jessamine County. What'd I get wrong this time?